Here are the 3 reasons why martial arts will not work for self-defense. You see, here I am at my local academy, and I often get people who come into this academy and want to learn how to protect themselves. So I had a young lady come in the other week wanting to learn self-defense. And she asked me, all the right questions, and she observed class, and we talked, and she started up classes. And she lasted about maybe 2 months, coming about 1 to 2 days a week. So do you think that she actually got the knowledge and the experience that she needed to protect herself? I think you already know what the answer is. So it's not her fault. She's not alone. As a matter of fact, most people who join martial arts, about, I would say 80 to 90% of them drop out within the first maybe 3 to 6 months of training. As a matter of fact, most people who are interested in protecting themselves and in martial arts never even enter the gym. They never come to the academy to get the training at all. And the ones that do, 90% of them drop out within 6 months to a year of their training. So that's the first biggest problem. Is it's not your fault, but most likely, if I were to play the odds, you are not going to train long enough to get the training and the transformation that you are searching for. Now, do I think a little bit of training is that good? Yeah, I think a little bit of training most times is better than no training. At least can plant some seeds. But overall, you're not going to get that transformation that you're looking for. Because why do people come in to train? Well, they want to feel confident. They don't want to be afraid anymore. They want to feel like they have some control over their lives. They want to stand differently, walk differently, talk differently, and transform into this confident, clear, courageous individual that is inside of them. They just, unfortunately, the odds are stacked against them for getting that. Most people are not like me. They're not going to hang around for 40, 50 years of training, traveling all around the world to get their training and spending every last spare moment to get better at their craft. They just don't. So problem number 1 is I can play the odds that you're not going to spend the, I would say, minimal 3 to 5 years to get decently proficient at whatever martial art you take, going, I would say, 2 to 4 times per week, and maybe some training on your own, maybe a seminar here or there, maybe a test or 2, because most people drop out before they hit that critical mass. It's like the difference between a field medic and a neurosurgeon. People really, what they need is to be field medics. They need to be able to triage the most common types of threats, in this case, the most common types of altercations, the most common types of conflicts, the most common types of violence. They don't need to be a neurosurgeon, like, going to competitions and becoming this great martial artist. They need to be more like a field medic, where they can take care of the majority of what they're probably going to run into. Which leads us to the second problem, the second biggest problem on why martial arts is not going to help you to protect yourself very well. Because martial arts typically is all about the physical. It's all about the physical altercation. It's about the physical skills. It's training most people to be, at the very least, they're training fighters how to fight other fighters, especially nowadays with combat sports being so prevalent and popular. You're learning an art and a sport so you can play the game. Well, real conflict and real violence in the real world doesn't work that way. Now, Can you use some of those attributes to protect yourself, especially physically? Absolutely. But here are the real statistics that people either don't know or they just don't want to realize because it's not as sexy. But most conflicts are verbal and emotional. They are not physical. So in martial arts classes, you typically don't learn much of the verbal aspects at all. The second dealio with that is that the conflicts that do erupt into violence, they almost always start off verbal and situational. Which again, if you're in a martial art, sport-oriented, really effective, sport-oriented, physically, well, guess what? You're not training the most common type of conflict, and the best way to stop being attacked is to stop it, de-escalate it, don't be there before the actual physical attack begins. And you do not get that training in a martial arts class. So even if you are taking martial arts, you should take some type of a situationally aware class for training and some type of verbal de-escalation, verbal conflict communications course so you can communicate better and you can be aware of what's going on to avoid it altogether if you can. That's not nearly as sexy to train. So that's the second problem of why martial arts does not address and will not work very well for learning how to really defend yourself. It doesn't give you the proper tools for the most common types of threats and where the threat begins and escalates into the physical. So the third thing about martial arts that is not going to help you protect yourself in real time is the framework and formula. So a mentor of mine, good friend, he would always say that learning how to protect yourself and be a good protector is very much like brewing beer. So beer has very simple ingredients. It has water, it has barley, malt, yeast. I'm not a brewer, so probably some other things, but they're very simple ingredients. And they're put together in a very particular way to make the different types of beer, and then they are brewed. So if I was to take water and malt and hops and barley and all this other stuff, I think malt's made from barley. Maybe you know, put it in the comments. And you just mix that together and didn't put it in the right formula and didn't brew it, it would taste like shit. But you don't want a crappy tasting beer. You want the richness and the full bodiness of whatever types of beer that you like. So you have to have the right ingredients and you have to have the right recipe and then put those ingredients into the right configuration, so to speak, and mix them together and then brew them, meaning you've got to get it to the boiling point and you've got to bring it to critical mass in order to get beer. Well, the same thing holds true when you're learning how to protect yourself and others in self-defense. You have to have the right ingredients and the right formula, and then you've got to bring it up to critical mass. So that's why immersion courses oftentimes are better, that have the right framework, that immerse you for a limited duration of time to get you the skills that you need. And then you can brew that beer properly, so to speak. And then after you're done with that and you become that field surgeon or that field medic, if you want to go on to medical school and become a surgeon, that's as known as, going to a martial arts school and then becoming a better martial artist, I think that's great. But I would first become the field medic, because most of the altercations, if you really are in earnest thinking about learning how to protect yourself and other people, in the most common types of street altercations that you are going to run into, you don't need 10 years of training or 5 years of training or 30 years of training or even 1 year of training. You need a good limited duration course that has the right formula and framework and gets you to that boiling point as quickly as possible, so you're going to get the transformation that you're looking for to really be able to protect yourself before you burn out, or you think, oh, I already took a martial arts class, I'm good, which is probably not the case. So those are the 3 things and 3 reasons why martial arts really isn't good for learning self-defense, even if you stick around it for 5-10 years. It's going to leave you limited in your capacity to really protect yourself and other people in the thick of what most true altercations are about. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And I'm not saying don't go out and train martial arts. As you can see here, I'm at my academy right now. I love martial arts. It's helped me immensely, but I put the time in. And I also realized its shortcomings, so I got the training for those other elements of like situational awareness and leadership skills and conflict management, verbal de-escalation skills, verbal conflict communication skills. And that way you can put it all together and have something. But that was a lifetime of training. But if you are interested in getting up to critical mass and protecting yourself and other people quickly, and not just like quickly, like online quickly, because a lot of that's bullshit. You're not going to watch a video and do it, right? You've got to actually have someone who knows what they're doing, give you the right formula, help you to train. But if you're interested in that, then there's a link on this page where you can schedule a discovery call with me, and I can get to know you a little bit, and we can see what program might be appropriate for you, or maybe I can help you, guide you, help you get what you need to get after knowing a little bit more about what your goals are. So click that link that's on this page and schedule a discovery call with me, and I'll help you out to get that. In the meantime, hope this made sense to you, and I hope it helps. All right, keep going.